out to Allen. Clay for three.
I guess you could say almost overdue breakup between the Los Angeles Clippers and DeAndre Jordan seems to have finally arrived. And we all got the same thing on our minds. Does it mean Blake Griffin's next to go? Will the Clips accept their fate and enter into a full-on rebuild process? Because you know what? 1 or 2 years into the future, if Blake's still in LA, I don't really think it's going to be cute anymore. When Blake's reached 30 years of age and we're saying, what the hell is Blake still doing rotting away on the Clippers for? Much like we were saying, what the fuck is Cousins still doing in Sacramento? What the fuck is Davis doing in New Orleans? What the hell is insert other superstar caliber player in a less than fortunate situation for a less than fortunate amount of time still doing in said city? At least that's how I envision it. But today we're talking about DeAndre Jordan. There's been a lot of Cleveland chatter, a lot of buzz surrounding those rumors. And it makes sense, in terms of a fair trade agreement, two teams in need of a specific change, easily worked out financially. But we're not here to talk about which organization gets what and the most likely scenarios or whatever. This video is concerning DeAndre Jordan himself with solely his best interest at heart. Yeah, there are pros associated with joining the Cavs, that's for sure. Anytime you're playing alongside LeBron James, that's normally one of the most ideal situations you could ask for in today's league. Aside from the strong possibility that he leaves in free agency, you're talking about at least one serious title run with this organization guaranteed. You're talking about a team that's been headed to the finals every year since 2015. You're talking about a championship contender that's lost a huge asset, a superstar in Kyrie Irving, but also a team that could use your star power, your specific skill set, to help largely make up for that, alongside the squad's other new additions, but you'd hold the most significant role out of all of them. We're talking about a team that struggled to come together defensively, currently ranks as one of the very worst teams in the association on that end. We're talking about that team adding a guy that's been nominated for Defensive Player of the Year more times than I can count. An enormous presence to anchor any defensive unit, an interior force to come together with LeBron James, who can guard the perimeter or help Jordan on the weak side, come together with Jay Crowder, and really take that first step into becoming an elite defensive team. Now, it'll take a lot more than that to accomplish. It'll take more effective schematics, maybe a coaching change, and it'll take the entire team buying into the system. But this would really help set the tone and encourage that whole group. And defense aside, there's a ton more that DeAndre Jordan bring to that team. An elite rebounder, not something they lack as direly as defensive improvement, but something they could definitely use. Plus, all the dirty work inside, the hustle, the size, the athleticism, combined with the great touch to space the floor from the inside out to protect for lobs and open up easier opportunities on the perimeter, which would work beautifully with the ultimate stretch four that Kevin Love is as his sidekick in the front court, with LeBron James' ability to attack and find either one of them for high percentage looks. I mean, if there was a guarantee that Bron would re-sign with the Cavaliers long term, this would be the absolutely ideal situation for DeAndre. Or not even a guarantee, just more of an indication that he would, or rather less of an indication that he wouldn't. If there was more reason to believe that this would be a situation that's not going to do a full 180 this offseason and change drastically when LeBron James leaves. This really would have been the most perfect situation for DeAndre in my eyes, but it's not. That's not the case. And though it depends on what DeAndre's mostly after, if simply riding out the season and then perhaps re-signing on a large contract afterwards, or even testing free agency and putting the power into his own hands afterwards, if that's what he's after, then by all means, Cleveland's the right place for him. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's not. I'm going to assume that he's looking for a more finalized situation. And if that's the case, then the ideal situation's got to be the Milwaukee Bucks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about Lob City anymore. Forget Lob City. This is drive and drop off pass city. Unguardable inside Lob City. This is straight up abuse of the rim. This is rim brutality from all angles. You know who shares so much in common with Giannis, yet is never brought up in the comparison? Blake Griffin. No, hold up. Hear me out. They're both athletic freaks, monsters inside naturally, but what sets them apart is the superior handle, the superior ball control, vision, and passing they possess above the large majority of others their size. They can both bring the ball up coast to coast. They can both attack the basket from practically anywhere inside the three-point line and either slam it home over whatever defense is thrown at them or make the slick pass and feed the more open big. But where Giannis wins is he's got a whole other level of ball control. He's a much more elite passer, and he could be the sole point guard in the game and be incredibly effective at that role. So essentially, he's both Blake Griffin and Chris Paul in one player. This would basically be a more dominant version of that Lob City structure with a game that's a hell of a lot more diversified. That didn't prove to be the best structure in LA, but it was a winning system. They had a lot more success than this Milwaukee wave with Giannis has had thus far. Those Clipper teams did tend to struggle in the postseason, and they struggled to become real contenders. But I'd credit that to a lack of health. I'd credit that to a lack of depth before I'd blame the system itself. And a key difference that we're not even talking about is Giannis is not Blake Griffin. He's in a whole other tier on a completely different wavelength. Giannis is on a multiple year MVP, LeBron/Kobe/MJ-like yearly dominance type of level. That's the type of tier that Giannis sits at. With the recent addition of Eric Bledsoe, that's a big three, people. I think it's fair to call it that. And what else does Jordan bring to the team? Well, essentially everything he'd have brought to Cleveland. The presence on the boards is critical for the currently worst team in the league in that category, and the defensive intensity I think would put this team over the edge into elite status. By the end of the season, I'd have them top 5 defensively, at least top 5, maybe even top 3 or 4. Can you imagine the fucking length in the front court with Giannis, Thon Maker, and DeAndre? Are you serious? That's 3 7-footers, each with extendo arms, enormous wingspans. Just imagine the defensive potential with this group and the potential for interior dominance on the offensive end as well. Giannis is exactly like LeBron in the sense that he's capable of getting to the rim pretty much at his own will. He can create the gravity, and he is probably the only player in the league that is basically as effective at attacking the basket as LeBron is, while also possessing those skills of a true point guard. Yes, he's the only player in the league with this skill set. Ben Simmons is not nearly on their level as a penetrator, and this would open up a lot of opportunities for Jordan inside. And then, like Love, Thon Maker would be that stretch 4, only a significantly taller, significantly longer stretch 4. How defenses would be able to cover both Giannis and DeAndre inside while preventing Thon open looks from downtown. Pick your poison. What would most likely happen is more times than not, Maker would be left wide open from deep as the defense scrambles to protect the inside. And let's not forget, Bledsoe's always a threat to cut, and he can shoot the 3 himself. Middleton's a very dangerous three-point threat and a very smart off-ball player. Brogdon, Jabari when he had terms. This would be the type of team that could really give Boston a run for their money. The type of team that would definitely beat Cleveland at this point, I think. And this is the type of move that could quite possibly set Milwaukee up with a brighter future than Philadelphia with their budding youthful grouping of stars, fringe stars, and extremely effective role players. And keep in mind that even if the Bucks weren't able to find the right trade package to make this work out, DeAndre Jordan could still end up getting shipped to Cleveland or elsewhere and then opting out on his player option this offseason and signing with the Milwaukee Bucks. Who agrees? Who disagrees? Let me know what your choice is as DeAndre's best landing spot. Is it Cleveland, Milwaukee? Which team you think he'd be the greatest fit? Or is it somewhere else altogether? There are other more unreasonable scenarios for him. Washington would be a good fit. Boston, if either of those teams could get the right package built for him. If you do agree on the Bucks, well, let me know what you think a fair package would be to be sent back to the Clippers. The asking price doesn't seem all that high. Right now, the potential deal with Cleveland centered around Tristan Thompson and maybe a couple of draft picks, but I doubt they'd be willing to give up that Nets pick. If you do agree on the Bucks, well, let me know what you think a fair package would be to be sent back to the Clippers. The asking price doesn't seem all that high. Right now, the potential deal with Cleveland is centered around Tristan Thompson and maybe a couple of draft picks, but I doubt that they'd be willing to give up that Nets pick. And as always, any other thoughts, feelings, perspectives at any point in the video, leave them in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to be back soon, and I hope to see that notification gang there with me. And I'm signing off. Peace.
Sleep through day, then we play all through the late night. Sleep through day, then we play all through the late night. All through the late night. S'il vous plaît, don't you hate all through the late night.